People deluded, I'm back again. Good morning to those of you in the UK. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and of course, good night. Welcome back to another edition of the Deluded podcast. I hope you're all doing well and safe. I hope you've all, if you're just coming across this podcast for the first time, you've hit the follow button on Spotify. The same thing for Apple. Obviously, my bread and butter is YouTube, so make sure you're subscribed across that. Deluded Gooner on all of that. Twitch, Deluded Gooner 187. Now, enough of the safe promotion. It feels like self-promotion, sorry. Feels like I ain't been here for a minute, people. Like I said, I have to say it again. Good morning. I hope you're all doing well and safe. I hope you've all got a spring in your step. Maybe not so much if you're French, Dutch, or German. If you're English, who knows if it's really coming home and things like that. But, it's vibes. You have to take every game as it comes. And end of the day, still undefeated. Grabbed the clean sheet again. Raheem Sterling, Gaza man, born in Jamaica, made in Jamaica, boy from Brent though, made the difference. Obviously, big up Harry Kane for getting on the score sheet. Before I forget as well, I did say, you lot that follow me on social, I said Kane's getting his goal today. Shout out to Harry Maguire, Jordan Pickford. I think they've got to be bigged up as well for their performances. Golden Boy Saka, of course. Grealish off the bench, Maverick, and the rest of them, man to a man. Luke Shaw, I think tactically, Shaw and Trippier must have been told not to get too wide because there was a reluctance to go forward. But like you saw, the minute the shackles got released and Shaw went forward, I'm not going to say he was amazing, but he's played a pivotal role in both of the goals. And obviously it was fantastic play for the first, man, between everybody. Obviously there was a couple people involved. It eventually goes from Grealish to Shaw. Raheem Sterling taps home. Great performance from us. Let's kick off with England, really. Again, England 2, Germany 0. Now, many people didn't see that coming. Many people thought Germany was going to hand it to us. But as I said, there's never been a better time to play the Germans. Every game they've played prior to playing us, and technically they maintained that record, they've been behind. It really was the group of death, really, because all them and they're out now. I was unimpressed with Germany. They were stale. They were quite, didn't see too much from Rosens. I thought that was the left-hand channel was going to be it. Muller missed a golden chance. Kimmich, Tony Kroos got bullied. Again, Mason Mount didn't even play, so I don't know why he's living rent-free in his head. The Germans, it's what we've known, innit? They need a new cycle. A couple new players need to come about. Jurgi Low is over. Apparently, Tony Kroos is retiring. So I was uninspired by what I saw by Germany, and you can focus on how bad the Germans were, similar to what we did when we played Croatia, and a lot of it is true. The Germans were terrible. They've had a terrible tournament. They're out in the last 16. It's terrible. I'm sure they're having their own inquest. For us, though, you can only play what's in front of you. That's nothing to do with us. Man to a man, we won our individual battles. We believed in ourselves. We played without any regrets. Obviously, on another day, you're probably asking, everything worked in it, so Southgate, it worked in it, but on another day, I'm definitely asking why Trippier started. I actually think Trippier struggled. Grealish came on and made the difference. I think everybody saw early on in that game, we kind of was lacking. I feel Calvin Phillips had a good game, as did Declan Rice, but they're quite limited. And I just felt we needed someone who could dribble from central areas and link up with the wide players and just relieve the pressure off us temporarily. We didn't have that. So again, we didn't learn too much about Southgate. He went for the safe option. Big up Stones and Maguire, like I said. Kyle Walker did well in his role. Pickford as well, because he made a big save. Shout out to Werner. We can always count on him to miss. Big save from him. Pickford also, I'm sure he tipped one over the bar shortly after that in the second half. Pickford has a good tournament. I know many people don't rate Pickford too particular, me as well, but I can't lie, I'm ready to start the Arsenal agendas. Man to a man, we did our thing. And like I said, golden boy Raheem Sterling, 3 goals for the tournament, What's that, 5 goals in the tournament now? 3 scored by Sterling? No. We've scored 4, innit? 4 or 5 goals. Raheem Sterling scored the majority of them, and he's justified his start. I'm happy for Harry Kane for his, for his confidence, and he's worked hard. I'm happy for Raheem Sterling. I mean, in typical fashion, the papers don't want to give it to him. Prince George or whatever the little pitney's name is. Bigger spread on the newspapers than him. Again, I guarantee you, they were deleting them drafts where conveniently Jamaican-born Raheem Sterling has been removed now. The minute we go out, it is what it is. And I hope you lot can see what happens when you support people. And for me personally, like you saw with Switzerland, with Seferovic, like you saw with Raheem Sterling, like you're seeing with all of these nations, in a day and age where nationalism and far right and all that BS is taking precedent and taking centre stage, not just in the UK, but everywhere in Europe, really. Immigrants are saving the competition. I know France went out, but, an immigrant did the business. Two descendants of it, or descendants of immigrants. Raheem Sterling did the business. Granit Xhaka and Seferovic, two central roles for Switzerland, and the rest of it. Uninspired by the Germans, they were quite toothless. They didn't seek to control the game. Yeah, I did feel on another day, they were not that they were breaking the lines early. I just felt that we was conceding too many central areas. And on another day, Southgate does have to take the handbrake up. I don't think you need Declan Rice and Phillips, especially when they're on the yellow card. I felt you could have went with. I know there's, Mount's probably not trained as much because of COVID at one point, but or the bubble with Gilmore. I would have went with, personally, Phillips and Mount. I just feel I'm not really confident with Rice and Mount together. I feel Phillips is a bit more street smart than Declan Rice, so I would have went with them. Obviously, if Henderson's fit, I'm going with Henderson and Mount there. That would have freed up something for Grealish. Personally, in the game, I would have pulled Saka from White. Saka had Rudiger's number, let's not lie, and showed him levels. But I would have pulled him to left back. And, nothing to do with Shaw, but I would have just pulled him to left back because I didn't feel we was offering enough down that channel. I would have moved Declan Rice to centre half, taken off Trippier and put Walker over there. I think Trippier, out of all of them, I think Trippier really struggled, in my humble opinion. He held it up. I'm not saying he played a 2 out of 10. I just think he looked off the pace. And there was one particular moment you can blatantly see Raheem Sterling's offside. We could all see it on the TV. Still decided to pass him the ball. It's a 5-yard pass as well. I did think Shaw in the second half played better, but in the first half he played within himself. Like Harry Maguire's playing out from the back, and you're standing 5 meters away from him. Obviously, you can see why we need a builder in midfield. We've got the piano pushers. We need a piano player because, Sterling, Kane's doing it anyways, but Kane, Sterling, Saka, everybody's dropping and receiving it on the halfway line. And on another day, the Germans could have used that to their advantage. The Germans were toothless, but it is what it is. We moved to them, every man to a man. Every man worked hard. Super sub Grealish again. I think you need to start him now. 2 Manchester City players in Grealish and Kane played great parts. I'm talking that into existence. We've got a good chance. Again, us English, we're very we're optimistically pessimistic. We never gave ourselves a chance against Germany, but in the game we're on it. Now we're thinking we can go all the way. But same way we was looking at that Sweden-Ukraine game, we're like, it would be England to beat Germany and then F up against one of the two. So you can't write anyone else off. Friday, Saturday, I think that game's played. We need to apply ourselves 100%. If you do that, like you did against Germany, don't. Obviously, regard the opposition and the threats they can have, but don't overdo it. Win your individual battles. Stand up to be counted. Prepare well. Have no regrets. And that's it. Even if Germany somehow, even if we did a France somehow conceded 2 goals in the last 10 minutes and ultimately we went out to Germany, obviously there'd be regrets, but I wouldn't want us to have any regrets. I wouldn't feel the players should have had any regrets. What you don't want to come back is fullback saying I should have taken on my man, striker saying I should have shot. Need to do a bit more, but it worked. On another day, we can question the tactics, not necessarily 3 at the back because, everything worked. So you can't, like against Croatia, you cannot question Southgate's tactics. I personally would have went with 3 at the back. I would have made some tweaks. Southgate knows more than me and he's backed it up. But I would have went with a 3 at the back against Germany as well. We matched them in the right ways. France, take notes because you didn't against Switzerland. So we did our thing. We go marching on. The Daily Fail and all them newspapers probably, bum-sucking Raheem Sterling and the rest of the IC3s now and they're going to tear them up and tear them down. I personally think the story would be a bit different if, shout out to Kane, nothing to do with Kane, but if Kane's had a poor tournament by his own standards. If Raheem was playing like him, there'd be question marks about his focus with his club speculation. In Phil Foden, Phil Foden ain't had an amazing tournament. Not that he's played, he's only hit the post. If certain other players dyed their hair blonde and was doing up that stuff, there'd be issues. But it's not. I'm not saying we should agendas. I like how the England have togetherness. I like how DG Nation that's listening to this have togetherness. Like I was saying, they want to divide and conquer. We need to stand united. If we stand together, anything can happen. And any team left in this Euro should believe. I keep saying it. How many times on my podcast and the live streams did I say all of these bigger nations look shaky? Germany been shaky in the group. They should have went out to Hungary. We should have been playing Hungary. Really and truly. France have flattered to deceive and almost had that arrogance to know that, all right, cool, we got quality players at some point, we can pattern the game. And against Switzerland, they kind of did do that, people, but then they didn't. So I think, big up to England. Let's talk about France versus Switzerland, 3-3 in normal time, 4-5 Switzerland's favour, obviously on penalties. Someone has to miss. Commiserations to Mbappe. I love the jokes and the banter and whatnot, but on a serious note, you hope he's cool mentally. I'm not a fan of the fallout you're hearing with France, how Rabiot's mother, who is very vocal and thinks her son's the bee's knees and doesn't know he's shit as well, calling Mbappe arrogant, whether that's true or not, really and truly, I think that tells you about the privilege, the unconscious bias and potential prejudice of some people to be arrogant as they come. Literally, the dictionary meaning of the word, and call Mbappe that it has to happen. There's winners and losers. I'm not gonna lie, it looked like the pressure got to him. You look that was watching my live stream, and probably people that weren't, you could see Mbappe was gonna miss. He didn't look certy with it. You know, he's miskicked it as well. I said it at the time. I didn't feel he positioned the ball on the thing in the right way, in the area in the right way. These little things, man, and to go last as well. Obviously, he wanted the Starboy thing, but it didn't work, man. It didn't work. And I think I've seen De Boer's left his job. I think the Deschamps needs to step down. I know there's a World Cup next year, but there's something to be said for stability. At the end of the day, he did win the World Cup, and in the last Euros, he did get to the final. This is probably the only woeful France side he's been under, you know. And France have a great side, but of recent years, in the last 20 years, they ain't been on much since that 2006 World Cup final. You know, they ain't been on much. They've had some stinky World Cup competitions. You know, we all remember Anelka and that. So they probably keep him, man. I can't really say a man's not a tactical man when, you know, he clearly is. He's got to have 2 finals and he does his business. But I just feel, again, you did hear the players wanted to change to a back three. That's fair enough. You know, you should listen to your players. I don't necessarily think it's because of the back three. I think it's the fact that you went to a back three to match against Switzerland when you have the superior players, and the fact that you didn't play well for 90 minutes. You had that little moment or period in the second half where Benzema got a brace within like 2 minutes. Shout out to Benzema, you know, fantastic improvisation with his left foot to tap home, and he got another one. You know, obviously Pogba scored, and like I said, there were 2 goals up with 8 minutes left, so the players need to take responsibility. You know, Pogba scored an amazing goal and had an amazing game, but he's lost the ball unnecessarily in the build-up to what's taking it to extra time, you know. I haven't really seen much from a lot of the other attackers, you know. I don't know what Kingsley Coleman was off the bench. I know he picked up a knock. I think the right-hand side was terrible, man. You know, Pavard and Varane, I've said about it, man. It's shaky. It's been shaky, you know. You've got Pavard right wing. You've got Kimpembe, Lynette, and I'm missing somebody else out, people. Varane, you know, Varane isn't the Varane he once was. You know, he looked crap, and he has been crap in this Euros. Lynette, when last did you play to get in? And Kimpembe's got a mistake in him. None of them centre-halves are, you know, they're all French internationals. There's PSG, Real Madrid and Barcelona in there. They should be able to, but none of them are controllers, the controller sort, the sort of big bro, the big bro to the little bro out the centre-half partnerships, that Puyol to the PK. None of them take authority. They're all headless chickens. They're all reactive. They're all shaky. You know, for Varane, you know, he probably is a generational defender. You know, he's been a teenager. He's done his thing at Madrid. He's won the World Cup. Shout out to Varane, yeah. But he's looked shaky his whole career. I think he's a quality centre-half. If you match him, all of them, if you was to say the proper centre-halves, like you named your defenders of all time and these sort of things, like you slap Cannavaro, these lot can't lace his boots. This tells you why defending is in the gutter. These lot are reactive defenders. They can't think, and it's a bunch of headless chickens. You know, Rabiot probably look like the best defender there, and he's a left wing back, and even he weren't that good. You know, it's a shame for Paul Pogba because he's having a fantastic tournament. Griezmann, I feel, was playing well. Benzema was starting to come into form. And Mbappe might have got 2 assists and had some good moments in the game, but much like the tournament, he's flattered to deceive. It is what it is, you know. It's been a honeymoon period for him. I know he's lost Champions League final as well recently, but you've won World Cup, you're playing well. These are the moments that you have to learn from, so he'll bounce back. Kante was anonymous. As I said, Griezmann had a good one, but you know, I just think tactically they were terrible as well, man. I felt sorry for Lloris. He saved the penalty and bailed some people out. You know, Pavard's just been making terrible decisions. You know, Pavard's been having a terrible tournament. You know, I didn't even understand not playing Lucas Hernandez. You know, you play him left back. You could have played him left wing back, or you could have played him as a back three. So Deschamps, I don't know what he's on. If I'm completely honest with you, it looked disjointed. And again, you know, Bad game management from the gaffer, bad tactics from the gaffer, bad game management from the players, bad game management from the senior individuals, terrible decisions, and then obviously bottling. So it was I don't think you can blame one single thing. I think you can blame multiple things. You can blame Mbappe for bottling. You can blame the boys for not doing enough over 90 minutes. They really didn't offer that much. There's many things. As a team, you have to take it. What you cannot do is blame one singular party. They're all factors. You win together, you lose together. Mbappe and Deschamps, I might be critical of them right now, but how many times has he probably saved them? Pogba's probably going to get all the heat, and he shouldn't have lost that ball. That was stupid. Xhaka bossed it. Xhaka had a great game, in my opinion. It was quite poor in that regards, and you're hearing a lot of fallout now, man. You're hearing a lot of fallout, like Rabiot's mum, where someone just needs to tell her to shut up, man. Rabiot's mother clashed with Pogba and Mbappe's families last night, and again, one of the most arrogant women in football. If she thinks her son is the best thing, how you can call Paul Pogba or Mbappe arrogant? I think it tells you, like I said, of the unconscious bias, the privilege, and certain other things. But as you lot can see, people, apparently RMC Sport have provided new details around the clashes between player families after France obviously lost to Switzerland. Shout out to Seferovic, he had a great game for them. And Jan Sommer, keep up, big boy performance. Apparently the verbal battle appeared to occur between Rabiot's mum, certain individuals close to him, and Paul Pogba's family. The two families exchanged words after the third goal for Switzerland in the stands. Apparently she asked how Pogba could lose the ball like that in the lead up to the Swiss equaliser. Facts, to be fair. At full time, Rabiot's mother asked Kylian Mbappe's father to tell him off so that he could be less arrogant. Well, when you tell yourself off and your son, because your son thought he had a divine right to get a contract from PSG, thought, the world owed him something at Juventus, and think, you genuinely think your son's a world-class player. Shut up, man. She also took aim at certain journalists for the way they were sucking up to Mbappe. To be fair, all they've done is demonise Mbappe going into this tournament and his alleged arrogance with Giroud and things like that. And you always knew if he didn't have a good tournament, Raheem Sterling gets a lot in the press. He was going to get a lot with the French. But as we know, like with a lot of these footballers, they love your rhythms. They don't love your blues. You see how they love Sterling now? They don't even love him because they're not even giving him the right platform and stuff. But, all you saw yesterday was an honest footballer who worked hard, scored in his backyard, the boy from Brent, and celebrated with his dad. I mean, with his son. A proud father, But again, the minute we go out, or if we don't win this, all of a sudden you're going to see a picture of the gun tattoo. You're going to see how these fake allegations that despite being a family man and a self-proclaimed lover boy, that he's got 1 million baby mums, you're going to see the Jamaican born before English international. And you can imagine, you can imagine. And I think when you look at it, bro, immigrants and descendants of immigrants have been carrying not only this Euros competition, but these countries. Like Seferovic, Gravanovic, apologies for forgetting his name, mispronunciations. Xhaka, last time I checked, these are not Swiss names. Paul Pogba, Mbappe, Benzema, that's Algeria, Cameroon, and I don't know where Pogba's family home is. I think it's Senegal. I don't know, people. It could be Guinea or Papua New Guinea or one of them. I think I've read it, but I don't know. But the point is, you see it in it. Even the defense. Even Griezmann, he's got Spanish in him. And like I said, I think this tournament could have showed a positive example for it, but you could see it, people. So demonized. Apparently, there was an aggressive exchange between Mbappe's mum and Rabiot's mum. So what, did Mbappe and Rabiot start fighting? For about 20 minutes, his mother clashed with several families of players present in Bucharest. People, they were shocked by her attitude and the timing of her outburst right after the match. The situation appears to have originated from earlier in the match when security officers had to ask those close to Paul Pogba to calm down after they acted aggressively and negatively to Rabiot's mistakes, in particular during the game. So it's just nasty. It's just point scoring and all of that. And again, there's probably, when you can't manage ego, I actually think the egos are not necessarily the ones you expect. The Mbappe's, the Pogbas, we all know. Let me call it straight. The black guys, like I said, they love your rhythm, but not your blues. The blues being when you lost, when Pogba's dancing and they're scoring bangers like that. It is what it is. It's a bit like England. People that are booing Denise, booing Raheem Sterling, they're probably jumping like, oh my, black lives really do matter. And that's not the majority. That's the dickhead. But the problem is, they come to light. So it's a bit of a madness. And apparently Pavard's clashed with Pogba, Pogba's clashed with Varane's clashed with this guy, that guy's clashed with that guy. It doesn't surprise me because, I do think situations you need to have it out. Everybody say what they feel. There's multiple reasons for losing, and then when you've got that out of your system, recognizing that we've all got a part to play. Nobody played amazing, Nobody. Whether it's missing a penalty, extra time, 90 minutes, nobody did what they needed. The manager's tactics, you win, lose, and draw together, innit? It is what it is. You have to go again. The good thing is there's a World Cup next year, and it's a shame because 30 years from now, well, maybe when you talk about Pogba, you'll talk about it, but we're not going to speak about this. Pogba, Griezmann, couple man have been having some wavy tournaments, and this is where it stops, and it's probably not going to be spoken of. Great goal from Pogba, but I can't lie, him losing the ball in the midfield kind of summed him up. Kante was anonymous as well. So yeah, man. It was terrible, really. Like, boy, first shocker of the tournament. Well, I say first shocker. The Dutch went out, man, really and truly. But you knew the Dutch were going out, man. I told, man, to go back with the French people, apparently during the game versus Switzerland, Rabiot and Pogba insulted each other. So again, they're taking it to the stands. I say everybody just fight. Rabiot's unhappy with Pogba's defensive efforts. Varane insulted Pavard, unhappy with his defending. Pavard blamed Pogba for doing no defending. Varane later backed Pavard. So everybody just blaming everybody, man. I bet you that was probably the time you saw Kante shouting at people. He probably went mad. You probably you probably didn't see a smile from him. So, yeah, man, French are out. Is what it is. You have to hold that L, man. Shout out to the Czech Republic. Yeah, I know Holland were down, Netherlands better yet, we're down to 10 men. I don't know what you're doing there, and I can't lie, I've seen some of the Dutch publications, they're asking a fairly legit question. You went to Italy, which is described as, the university of defending, and meant to see a dramatically better defender. I didn't really see that at the Euros, Holland were wavy until they played a half-decent side. Donyell Marlin's decision-making was terrible. De Ligt showed his youth and naivety with getting sent off. Depay wasn't really on nothing. Wijnaldum, probably a lot of people would have had him, not as the player of the tournament, but if you're naming the 11, he had a chance. First game that mattered, did not see that, captain. Did not see him. De Jong tried, but I can't lie. De Jong just started moaning towards the end when they're chasing the game. And for me, De Jong was more happy playing in pointless areas. Like, cool, you can drop a shoulder and play a pass, but you're not hurting them or putting in an area that hurts them. They're just sitting back, soaking up the pressure. Dumfries made an important block. De Roon, don't know why you started. Van Aanholt, you weren't on nothing. Early on, Daley Blind was playing some good passes, as you would in the back three, but dead. Credit to the Czech Republic, man. They sat in, they were aggressive, they attacked, they offered something. Slick got on the score sheet again. They did what they needed to do, man. They duppied them in the second half, man. Yeah, they went down to 10 men, but I liked what I saw from the Czech Republic, man. Like, just over 10 minutes after the first red card, they went and slapped in one, 68th minute, and then after, Slick got on the score sheet. So, well deserved. And like I said, football matches aren't won on paper. You believe in yourself, you believe in what the manager's told you, you win your battles, galvanized, you have half a chance. And we already spoke about it, but Italy were lucky. Italy did their thing over the end to go through 2-1. Chiesa making a difference, but they were taken to the brink by Austria. Wales were duppied 4-0 by Denmark. You all saw that. The less of that, the better. Portugal sadly out via the Belgians now as well. Thorgan Hazard on the stroke of half time. Scored a lovely effort. I don't know what sort of voodoo he did on the ball, but the ball, I don't know what. It defies physics, really. Not that I can really speak of physics. I just about passed. I'm about to say French, so that tells you everything. Science, but yeah, man. Yeah, bro. We saw what it is. I don't think Belgium were really troubled. They did what they could. They sat in. Lukaku done well to relieve pressure. In my opinion, I think Thorgan Hazard played well. Eden did well in patches. Hazard was okay. The back three, the pensioners did all right. Courtois made a couple good saves. But you just were wanting a bit more from Portugal, really and truly. Pepe's getting into handbags. It was lovely to see. I think Portugal's midfield three played all right. But again, you just wanted a bit more. This didn't really do much, in my opinion, man. They just didn't have too much about them, really. And again, when you look at it, it was always coming because Portugal were eliminated with just one victory from their 4 games, man. Losing 2 and drawing 1. That's their fewest in a single tournament at the European Championship since their first in 1984. So I don't know if this is the end for their gaffer. You've got a World Cup next year. Is this going to change? Bruno anonymous. João Felix barely get on the pitch. You know, probably need some new blood, like some new other guys. I don't know, man. I really don't know. It was a toothless performance, man. But saying that, Portugal offered a bit more than Belgium. Again, both teams were quite toothless. Belgium had 6 shots, 1 on target. The Portuguese had 23, 4 on target. And again, more time, I'm seeing this. What's this midfielder's name again, man? What's his name? Let me find his name. Paulinho. I'm seeing the centre defensive mid take more shots. So that tells you everything, really and truly. So upsets are there to happen. I don't know if that's going to be an upset. Obviously for Belgium next, I think they've got Italy and Hazard, and I don't know if it's mind games, but apparently Hazard and Kevin might not play. So make of that what you will. Spain flirted with exit. You know, Croatia, shout out to you. You know, Modric, performance of the ages. That's how you go out like a real G. You know, for me, they waved the white flag when Modric came off. He probably was knackered. You know, that's what Kroos should have been doing. That's what them French midfielders should have been doing. You know, Modric went down fighting. Obviously, Orsic made a difference. Pedri played well and has been one of the Spanish standout players, but I think he's very unlucky to have that own goal chalked on his name. It looked like it did touch Unai Simon, and Unai Simon's made a mistake similar for Spain as well as Atletico. I'm sure you all saw that calamitous own goal. You know, if a footballer's control the ball, he's got a simple back pass. He just let it run into the back of his own net. He's miskicked it, really. But that sprung the game into life. You know, his blushes were spared. Obviously, Ferran Torres had a good game. He scored. Oyarzabal got on the score sheet. Morata, who was missing some tappings and diving, the one good thing he did, that was a banger from him. Controlled it, smashed it. And Sarabia, who I felt was unlucky to be subbed. At a point, you probably was looking at Spain's subs and thinking, why did he do that? Because they looked like they were going to be in trouble. You know, Spain looks shaky, but at the end of the day, you can't pick a favourite. And I said this is a Euros where someone's just going to scumbag it. And I think that's why England and Spain probably have chances. And, you know, Spain's blushes were spared, but they did turn it on. It was a close game, you know. 7 shots to Croatia's on target to 10 of Spain. 23 Spain had, and then 12 to Croatia. Considering there was no Perisic, there's tired legs, and Croatia do not have the overall quality these lot have, you could imagine it. I can't lie, though. You did get to see a couple of ugly moments, I felt, you know. The defense kind of switched off as they became tired, the Croatians. And is it Gavdal? Bro, at least 2 of them goals are specifically his fault. One of the goals, you know, the Spaniards have just played it quickly. I think Ferran Torres I could be wrong. They just played it quickly. My man is concerned with getting water. He's trying to dash the water to one side, react to the other, man. You see that stuff when you're playing with your friends in Sunday League. Terrible. He's 19 years of age, though, and again, you've seen the youthful naivety. In that regards, people, it was quite terrible from him. You know, Rebic did well in some in some patches, as did Kovacic. But on another day, they probably wanted to do more. Rebic had a couple of chances he probably should have scored. Busquets played well. I can't lie, I didn't think Koke played well. I did think Eric Garcia didn't play bad, but he looked out of his depth. And this is what I mean when it's international football. It's not an ability thing; it's to being able to read things. So I didn't understand why Paul Torres didn't start, but I understood why why Paul Torres came on. You know, Azpilicueta did well as well, holding it up. You know, vintage Azpilicueta doing his thing. You know, and again, that was another goal. Bro, nobody has seen Azpilicueta's run. And, you know, I know Azpilicueta gets his fair amount of, you know, these sort of goals and stuff. Like, I'm not going to say he's not a threat on his day, but he's not the tallest. At least on the TV. Free run. Like, again, Croatia need to do a bit better. I think Vieira played a lot better. Who knows, man? Maybe if they had Lovren's mentality and maybe if Perisic wasn't robbed of an opportunity of playing due to COVID, it could have been a different game for the Croatians and the Spanish. But we'll never know, people. And then obviously, I'm sure you saw Sweden versus Ukraine. You know, Zinchenko scored a great goal. You know, Forsberg, who's having a good tournament, scored. But that's it. You know, I think he's got 4 in 4. I think that's done for you. Isak's gone now. You know, Ukraine, you know, defeated 10 men Sweden. I don't know what Danielson was doing. That was a stupid tackle to make and added on time. I really don't know what it was. And, you know, with the game looking like his head going to penalties, you saw a dramatic header right at the end, people. This is what this stuff is about. So it sets up England versus Ukraine. Again, you cannot underestimate anyone at this stage in the competition. So you're gonna need to be very serious. In relation to who we have, who's in the last 8, I should really look at that. Sorry, people, let me bring it up. Euros last 8. Let's scroll down. Sorry, people. Why is it not just telling me who has won the damn game? Oh, here we go. So obviously, the quarterfinals now, people. You've got Switzerland against Spain. Now, Switzerland, we're going to go over this on Friday, but Switzerland are not going to have Granit Xhaka because despite man of the match performance and a good display. I would have had Seferovic as my man of the match personally. I think he was on crud, but he won't be able to play suspended. You've got Belgium against Italy now. If we take what Roberto Martinez has said at face value in Hazard and Kevin are not fit, then that boosts Italy's chance. But Italy can't look at that and think they're going to win because, again, with respect to Austria, Belgium without that are probably better than them. In terms of names or on paper or FIFA at least, so you can't underestimate that. But that's it. Now we're starting to move into neutral territory. Like for England, pardon me, we've had the luxury at Wembley within reason. I think we played one game away from there. I could be wrong, but we've had the luxury of Wembley. Now we move away. That's something a lot of people said about the Dutch. The minute they moved out the Amsterdam Arena, it gets long for them. So. Ukraine, we're the away side against Ukraine for what it's worth. So we're going to have to see what we're on against Ukraine, man. That's going to be a very interesting game. You've got Czech Republic against Denmark. Denmark deserve to be through, and I think people are really sleeping on them. Every team still in here has a chance. And then you've got Switzerland. Like I said, Czech Republic versus Denmark, Ukraine, England, Switzerland, Spain, Belgium, Italy. So, boy, the margins for error are getting small. The last 8's got to turn to the last 4, and then, you've got, never had a better chance. You think anybody can win, man? Spain are not playing like Spain, but they're here. Italy playing well, they're here. We'll see how Italy are against Belgium because the first test they're given against Austria, they got over it, but there's a lot to think about. Switzerland versus Spain, Czech Republic, Denmark, not much in that. I personally feel the Czechs will edge that just because I see them scoring at set pieces. Ukraine, England. The pessimistic in us England fans would probably say it would be like us after 55 years to defeat the Germans in a knockout competition and then go out to Ukraine, but we're going to have to see what we're on, man. And I think everyone wants us to lose. We've got to embrace our arrogance, in my opinion, as England fans. I can't lie. I enjoyed watching the little kid cry, man. I can't lie, man. Obviously, commiserations to her, but that's what football's about, man. I'm sure when Germany were doing their thing, she don't care. So it is what it is. When Hungary went out, I'm sure she didn't care. And it's just fuck them kids, man. Part of my language, we need to win, innit? So I'm sure the world wants us to win. I'm sure the Scottish, the Germans, I'm sure there's a Scotsman and a German still in the pub right now, scheming on the English. So let's make sure we do what we need to do. Away from that and in other news, I'm sure you've all seen Patrick Vieira has become the Crystal Palace gaffer, people. Now, he isn't inexperienced. He comes off the back of obviously coaching at Manchester City, working in the MLS. Most recently, he was in Nice with France with Nice. He's taking the Palace job. Now, big step. Come on, Vieira, mate. If you're still there when we're playing them, give us them 6 points. Big step for Vieira. Big task. Big job. Many people wanted him for the Arsenal job over Arteta and in general. Now you're going to have to see where going. To be fair, you're only as good as what you can work with. And that's what I mean. This is a big job for anybody, really. This is a big job. You look at the Crystal Palace team. I'm not familiar on who's going to end up staying in them things, but a lot of their players were talking about, their deals were running down. They've got an aging squad on top of that. Zaha might want to keep it moving. Whether someone buys him is another thing. So it's a big task. I'd argue staying in the league is unless they need to sign some quality players, and I think they know that. Staying in the league is a priority and probably the objective of Crystal Palace because they could be in big trouble. Big trouble. You're losing a lot, and hopefully he can rely on Arsenal. Maybe if you want to take Balogun on a year, if you want to take him on a loan, if you want to take Eddie Nketiah permanently, if you want to take Reece Nelson. If you want to take Satin, we can make Satin happen really and truly. And then they on a permanent, why not? So yeah, man, Vieira, shout out to him for taking the job, people. And obviously he is second choice because it looked like Lucien Favre, who's worked at Dortmund and Gladbach and could have been a great choice, turned it down at the last minute for whatever reason. I mean, football, if you go on Kroenke, it's not the same. But I mean, you can't take Crystal Palace. Crystal Palace can't take him as gaffer with what we've just said and expect magic if they're not gonna help him. If they're really not gonna help him, people, really and truly. So we're gonna have to see. Obviously, you've got Eze and that, but let's be honest, there is not too much quality in that Crystal Palace team. I'm trying to find out whose contracts are expiring. I would love to know the average squad age, man. You've got Jeffrey Slope, Van Aanholt, Townsend, Sacco, James McCarthy, Klein, Ward, Cahill, Scott Dan, Martin Kelly, Hennessy, Wickham, Henderson and some brother called Sam Woods. But, you know, a lot of them are household names when you think of Crystal Palace. So they could be in big trouble, really and truly, if they don't invest and inject some new life. To be honest, they needed to move away a lot of these players. Now, a couple of them probably will sign new deals and retain and things. I think you need to keep a couple of them or they're in problems because they've got a naive side, really and truly, if I'm completely honest with you, man. You know, Crystal Palace could be in big trouble if they don't invest, in my humble opinion. Like, you know, I'm trying to look at their names, man. You know, they've still got Tompkins on the books. Get Guaita in goal. I think and Jack Butland, you're gonna need to do a lot better than that. You know, you still got Mitchell, still got Reedwald, you still got Milivojevic, you still got Eze, still on paper Zaha, still got AU. They're still good players, but in terms of the base, you know, they probably need a couple of centre halves. Need a lot, really. You're gonna need a left back if Van Aanholt Bus is out, which is gonna happen. You've got an average squad age of 29, so people could say that's experience. You could say there's a fine line between experience and past it. So they need to reinvest, and a manager can only do so much, and managers are very disposable. So, and I'm sure Crystal Palace, they should be thinking with their signings for the next 3-4 years. Whether Vieira's there or not is another thing. But for what it's worth, Patrick Vieira has agreed to become the new Crystal Palace manager. Nothing has been signed yet, as reported by David Ornstein, with Vieira the third manager in 3 weeks where terms have been agreed, but Palace now expect this deal to go through. The board had hoped Lucien Favre would change his mind over the weekend. He opted not to take it, people, and they focused on this. Apparently, Palace are insistent on a manager being in place by next Monday when the players return to pre-season. Now, they need that, really and truly. It's a bit like Spurs. What's going on with Spurs, really, because, you know, how can you sign people? What player is going to want to sign for a club within reason? You don't know who the gaffer is. You know, a lot of players don't know where they stand. A lot of players don't know what they're working on. It's good when you're Kane and that, you know, and you're playing in Euros, but for the guys that are returning, it's an issue. Speaking of managers as well, Frank de Boer has stepped down as gaffer of Holland, well deserved. 2 days after, obviously, they went out, well deserved. You know, he needed to go. There's no way around it. First big test, he went out, not the guy. Speaking of new gaffers, Rafa Benitez, we've heard this for a while, has agreed a 3-year deal to become the new manager of Everton, people. Everton are expected to confirm his appointment. As you know, he spent 6 years at fellow Liverpool-based football club and rivals, Liverpool, where he spent 6 years, as I said, and he won the Champions League and the FA Cup, you know, and he's 61. He gives a wealth of experience, and I know many people won't be happy. I know many Spurs and Arsenal fans remember George Graham managing both clubs, so I would say people get over these things, but I'm happy to have Rafa Benitez back. Whether, you know, he'll fall victim to what I feel Arsene Wenger and to a degree Jose suffered within, that the game has kind of passed him by, I don't know, but he's a hallmark of football. He's a very innovative man. He's a good manager. He's a good guy. So I'm happy to see him back in the Prem, and I hope it works out for Everton, if I'm completely honest with you. Apparently, speaking of Spurs, Paratici, again, the former Juventus guy who's now new managing director of football at Spurs, apparently he's arrived in London for the first time on Tuesday. As you know, he starts his new job on July the 1st tomorrow. Apparently, you know, the merry-go-round that is Tottenham Hotspur's managerial search might be coming to an end. Apparently, he's set to hold more talks with Nuno Espirito Santo ahead of the potential appointment as new Spurs head coach, people. So we'll have to see. So it looks like Spurs will be getting Nuno and things like that. But apparently, reports in Turkey claim Nuno's been approached by Fenerbahce, people. But apparently that's not been the case, or what's thought. So we're going to have to see. Spurs need a new gaffer in it. They don't get it, they're going to be in problems. So yeah, man. With that being said, I don't think there's anything else to specify on. We've spoken about the Euros. We've touched on a couple of other bits and pieces, and it's been a fantastic 30-odd minutes with you guys. Please make sure you're hitting that like button on Spotify, Apple, and things. You're setting your reminders. You're following. Please make sure you're, you know, if you're watching this via YouTube, you're doing the same. You're supporting the movement, man. More importantly than that, please stay safe. Please stay in good health, and I'll catch you lot on Friday. And again, sandwiched in between that, you know, I do a bunch of content on YouTube, so there's something for everyone there. So yeah, man, please follow me on the socials, Instagram and all of that. I need to get to 10k on Insta so I can swipe up and actually be able to promote my vids properly. So hit that one up. On that note, though, like I said, man, it's been a very big pleasure to speak to you guys. I'm very appreciative of having a DG Nation supporter group like you guys. So on that note, though, I'm going to get out of it. Like I said, hit the like, support the ting, stay safe. People, I'm out. DG.